While many superhero movies deliver perfect origin stories, some have been downright awful. Origin stories are the backbone of superhero cinema, meant to spark excitement, empathy, and purpose to heroes in Marvel, DC, and beyond. They set the tone for a hero's journey and define what makes them worth rooting for. When done right, they can become iconic cinematic moments. But when done poorly, they risk undermining the entire film. Whether due to incoherent writing, shallow character development, or complete misfires in tone, a bad origin story can doom even the most promising superhero project. A good superhero origin story balances spectacle with emotional depth. It introduces the protagonist, reveals their transformation, and sets the stage for their moral compass and conflict. However, sometimes studios either try too hard to reinvent the wheel, or don't try at all. These aren't just stories that took creative liberties, they're examples where those liberties completely disconnected the character from their essence. 10. The Incredible Hulk, 2008. Marvel's The Incredible Hulk skips over the actual origin story almost entirely, relegating it to a montage in the opening credits. While this approach avoids repeating the same narrative seen in Hulk, 2003, it also robs Bruce Banner of a proper cinematic introduction within the MCU. His transformation via gamma radiation is barely touched on, giving audiences little insight into his emotional journey or the tragic nature of his curse. While the movie itself is great, without that setup, it's hard to invest in Bruce's internal conflict or empathize with his desire to stay hidden. The movie starts mid-crisis, assuming viewers are already familiar with the character's lore. For a franchise Kickstarter, it's a puzzling decision that makes Hulk feel more like a plot device than a fully realized protagonist. 8. Elektra, 2005. Elektra never recovers from its jumbled resurrection plot. After dying in Daredevil, 2003, the assassin returns with almost no explanation other than vague mysticism and martial arts. Her revival by the group known as the Chaste is mentioned, but never meaningfully explored. There's little sense of what Elektra's return means to her, or how it affects her motivations. Instead, she goes from dead to deadly without any emotional reckoning. Worse, the film severs nearly all ties to her earlier appearance, making it feel like a completely disconnected character. Her tragic backstory is glossed over in favor of a wooden narrative about protecting a prophetic child. The end result is an origin tale that tries to reinvent Elektra, but forgets to ground her in any relatable human experience or coherent emotional arc. 7. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, 2009. The opening of X-Men Origins. Wolverine had promised an epic montage of Logan and Victor Creed fighting through wars across centuries, offered a glimpse into a compelling, layered backstory. Unfortunately, everything after that falls apart fast. The film fails to deepen Logan's emotional arc, instead relying on clumsy dialogue and convoluted government conspiracies. The moment that truly derails X-Men Origins the most is the adamantium bullet to the head, used as a lazy excuse to wipe Wolverine's memory. It's a nonsensical solution that undermines years of mystery surrounding the character's past, all to conveniently explain away his future amnesia. Rather than offer insight into his complex psyche, the film reduces Logan's origin to shallow plot devices and poorly handled twists. What should have been a gritty, character-driven story ends up as a bloated, forgettable misfire. 5. Daredevil, 2003. Daredevil aimed to introduce the world to Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer-turned-vigilante. However, the film never quite explains how his accident grants him superhuman acrobatics, radar sense, and martial arts mastery. After being blinded by radioactive waste as a child, Matt's powers just arise, and the movie quickly skips ahead without exploring how he hones them or copes with his disability. This lack of depth robs the origin of emotional weight, and fails to establish the kind of moral complexity that makes Daredevil such a compelling comic book character. Instead, the film leans heavily on cliché voiceovers and mood lighting, hoping style will mask the lack of substance. It doesn't. What should have been a gritty, grounded journey feels shallow and rushed. 3. Catwoman, 2004. Catwoman is infamous for discarding nearly everything that made the character iconic. Halle Berry's Patience Phillips isn't Selena Kyle, doesn't live in Gotham, and her origin has nothing to do with Batman or any recognizable DC lore. Instead, she's a meek graphic designer, killed over a corrupt cosmetics company's anti-aging cream, and brought back to life by an Egyptian cat. Catwoman tries to tie her transformation to ancient feline deities and mystical powers, but the result is so absurd and poorly explained that it feels like a parody. Her cat-based powers, including enhanced agility, night vision, and a love of tuna, veer into cartoonish territory, completely undermining any chance at a grounded, serious narrative. By breaking from both comics and previous movie incarnations, Catwoman crafts one of the most baffling and ineffective superhero origin stories ever. 2. Steel, 1997. Steel, starring Shaquille O'Neal, is one of the most baffling superhero origin stories ever brought to the screen. Loosely based on the DC Comics character John Henry Irons, the film completely detaches from the Superman mythos that originally inspired Steel's creation. Instead, it turns Irons into a weapons designer who builds a super suit in a garage, with the help of his grandma and a friend in a wheelchair. The film's tone is wildly inconsistent, part comedy, part action, part after-school special, and the lack of narrative tension makes it hard to care about Irons' transformation into a hero. There's no meaningful internal struggle, no strong inciting incident, and no emotional payoff. It's a superhero story that feels more like a parody than a genuine origin, saddled with cartoonish villains and cringe-worthy dialogue. 1. Green Lantern, 2011. Green Lantern tries to pack too much into its origin story and ends up with a cluttered mess of exposition dumps and forgettable character moments. Hal Jordan's recruitment by the Green Lantern Corps should have been a thrilling, galaxy-spanning transformation. Instead, it's delivered in dull, dialogue-heavy scenes, filled with CG-heavy training montages and long-winded alien briefings. Green Lantern spends more time explaining the rules of the universe than showing why Hal is worthy of the ring, making his journey feel unearned. The character never truly wrestles with his responsibilities or internal fears in a meaningful way. Despite the film's cosmic scale, Hal's origin ends up feeling small, lifeless, and uninspired. What could have launched a new franchise fizzled out in a wave of green-tinted mediocrity.